I greet you once again, viewers. Welcome to Writing Theatre channel. I am Dr. Dele Omojuigbe. Today, I want us to examine how to write business letters. Now, you may want to ask, what is a business letter? A business letter is that letter you write to an organization or a person or a company with which you have a business relationship. Now, that business letter, it could be from you as an individual. It could be from a company that you are representing. So you have now written the letter, on behalf of your company. So business letter usually asks for something to be done. Every business letter is business-like in approach. Business letters generally are not long. They are concise, brief, and straight to the point. Now, what do you do when you write a business letter? The thing is that there are some steps that I will be showing, but just realize from the beginning that a business letter is business-like. The expression of every business letter is impersonal, which means that it is formal. It is unlike every informal message that you convey to someone. This one is formal. It is straight to the point, and it is concise. Now, what are the steps that you need to take? Now, let me say this one first. Because business letters are letters written to organizations or persons representing organizations, there are some areas, there are certain things that one needs to consider. For example, even if you write an application for employment, it is a business letter also. It doesn't mean that you have already built a relationship, but you are planning to build a relationship with the organization you have written to. So in this segment, I will be looking at business letters, then I will be looking at how to write job application, and then CV. Now, how do we write? What are the steps that we need to take when we are writing a business letter? The number one step is that we write our address. The address of the person writing should be on the top right of the page. Let me also say, before I forget, that a business letter should not be more than one page. Because the people in business don't have long time to be reading long letters. So when you are writing a business letter, make it a page, but very brief and straight to the point. Now, the first thing that you need to do is to put your address on the top right of the page. Then, as a matter of fact, you also add your email address, your phone number, and the date. Then on the top left, underneath, just straight under where you ended the address, your own address, you put the address's address. That's the recipient's address. And then, after that, the next stage is that you write the salutation. All that we need to do there is just dear sir or dear madam. Or in case you know the person's name and office, you can say, dear Mr. So. It's allowed, because these days when you write a business letter, you create some sense of familiarity. You are not too distant. That is why even there you hardly, unlike in those days that you use yours faithfully, it is sincerely yours these days. You create a familiarity because you want to build a relationship. It is not as distant as it used to be, at a time. You are now creating cordiality with the people that you want to do business with. So you write, dear Mr. So, that in case you have the person's name, or dear Dr. So, in case you have, whatever. If you know the title, you put the title. If you know the person's name, you put the name. After that, you now give the letter a title. after the salutation, which is the dear sir or dear ma or whatever, you now put a title to the letter. I show you an example now. Let's see. Let me read from here. Now, this is what I want to read here is about a book that someone wants to publish, and he has sent the manuscript. He has sent the manuscript to the publishers. Now, the publishers have replied, and this is their reply to the person. And the title of the book is Success Dynamics. Success Dynamics. I read the introduction. Dear Mr. Cole, Ray Success Dynamics. Now, the proofs of your book, Success Dynamics, are hereby sent to you with a manuscript for quick and careful correction of errors. Simple. That's the introduction. Straight to the point. Very straight to the point. Then you go to the body. The body is where you now develop the introduction. Okay? The body is where you now develop the main theme of the letter. And should not be long, should be straightforward, should be direct. Now, let me read this one, just one paragraph now. After the introduction, the body now is this. We are working hard to meet the deadline you gave to us, and at the same time, we are being careful so as to make the book error-free. We advise that every error detected should be clearly marked out and corrected, as another session of correction after this may likely increase production costs because we would have to use additional production material. That is the body of the essay, of the letter. Straight to the point. Straight to the point. Now, how do you write the conclusion? The conclusion is where you state exactly what you want done for you. What exactly do you expect? What do you want the publishers to do for you? Now, this is the conclusion of the letter here, which summarizes the letter's proposition. The conclusion. We expect back the proofs on September 30 so that we can embark on the next stage of production. Sincerely yours. That is a beautiful letter. Straight to the point. You don't waste anybody's time. Just as you are not wasting their time, you are not even wasting your own time. And then, because it is not everyone that has the time to be reading epistles. Business is business. That is how to write a business letter. And then after you have completed the letter, you now go underneath and you write your name. Alright? Sorry. Yeah, after the sincerely yours, you leave about 3 or 4 lines, and then you now write your name. After you have written your name, you now go back to the space where you left, those 2, 3, 4 lines, and you sign there. You sign there. Your signature is important when you write a business letter. It is your signature that you have appended now that shows that this is authentic. It is coming directly from you. That is how far a business letter goes. Now, where we are going really now is that business letter, if you like, you can call it the father. Now, I want to let us see business letter in relation to application for jobs. How do you write an application for job? However, before I forget, when you have finished writing the business letter, please ensure that another person sees it and proofs it. It is important for someone else to see the letter and check whether there are errors there. I could remember some years back, about 12, 13 years ago, in my place of work, an organization wrote to the institution, wrote to the provost of the institution, asking to be allowed to do a 3-day training for our students. And the subject matter of their training, I think, bordered on language or something. So when the provost saw it, when she saw the area of concern, she sent the letter to my office, because at that time I was the head of the department, that area. I was the head of the department of general studies. So she didn't even read the letter. She sent the letter to me. When she sent the letter, I opened the letter and then I read. Now, when I read the letter, the first thing that attracted me when I saw the letter was the letterhead, quality letterhead, golden, embossed, beautiful letterhead. Now I now went to the content, just 4 paragraphs. I read the first paragraph, read the second paragraph, read the third paragraph. Each of the paragraphs I read had errors, error of expression. And these are people that are saying, okay, we want to come and train your students. I just minuted on the letter to the provost. I said, man, these people are not qualified to come and teach our students here, because they will contaminate the purity of their language. I heard the letter and went straight to the provost. I told her what exactly I put there, and she began to laugh. She just laughed, and that was the end of the letter. That was the end of the demand from the organization. Now, it is possible that letter may not be a true representation of the organization. Maybe it was written in a hurry, and maybe the person that signed the letter, the boss that signed the letter, didn't even read through, because he trusted, maybe the boss trusted the person who wrote the letter. And the person who wrote the letter maybe wrote in a hurry. Alright? So, but we wouldn't know that. The letter came to us and we wouldn't know that. All we knew was that the letter was a true representation of the organization. And so we declined their request. So that is why it's important for someone else, because if somebody else has read the letter, okay, outside the person who wrote the letter, perhaps those errors might have been detected. So that is why it is important for us, for you, for anyone that is writing a business letter, to ensure that someone else reads the letter before it is dispatched. Now, that is how far a business letter goes. Let's now look at our application, how to write job application. Let me say this to start. When you write an application, it is the only thing that indicates your interest in a job. So the application you write is the only proof of your interest in any job. However, applications fail on some grounds. If you are too casual with the way you write your application, it will fail. Because if you must pass an exam, if you must be offered an employment by any organization, any company, it starts from the way you write your application. So you start passing or failing from the approach you give to the application you are submitting. Now, how do you write your application? You don't write your application by begging to apply. You don't beg to apply. If you beg to apply, it simply means that you are not qualified for what you are applying for. That is number one. Then number two, you don't show too much of unseriousness. You don't show laxity. Show that at least you are serious with what you are doing. Okay? And then number three is that don't be too serious to the point of desperation. If you are desperate, it will show in the manner of your language in the application, and you are likely going to be rejected. All right? Now, how do you write an application? The first step, because it's also a formal letter, a business letter, So everything that you put in the business letter that I mentioned earlier must be there in terms of address. Top right, your own address, your phone number, your email address, the date. On the left, the addressee's address, and things like that. Then the salutation, the greetings. Dear sir, dear madam, if you know the name, why not put it there? And then you now give it a title. Let me read this one. It will help us. The number one step now. All the steps I've mentioned. Now let's look at how to write the intro after the DSL. Application for the post of a civil engineer. Your advertisement in the Daily Times of August 22, 2022 refers, I hereby apply for the post of a civil engineer. Every time you are applying, you must refer to where you got the information from, the information of a vacancy from. It is important because they want to know. They want to know how far the advert is placed in any newspaper or even on social media, how far the advert went. So you need to show that to show where exactly you got the information from. That is important, very important. Then number two is that you now develop the body. You put everything that you need to say, within the context of the body before you now go to the conclusion. And the conclusion must be saying something, must be asking for something to be done. Look at this one. I shall be grateful if this application is considered. So, which means that you are expecting your application to be considered, to be granted. Okay? So, that is the conclusion. Now, let me say that your application is incomplete without attaching your curriculum vitae. So, how do you write your curriculum vitae? I make it brief. Number one is that your curriculum vitae is the detail, your detail, everything in brief. Okay? But there are some things that you need to observe. Number one thing is that one CV cannot go for all applications, for all jobs. So which means that if you are applying for a new job, you must write a fresh application. Write a fresh CV. A fresh CV. The CV you wrote for the other application may not go for the CV you need for this one if the jobs are different. I was in the newsroom for many years before I went for lecturing. When I wrote my CV, I put aside all the CVs I've been using for the media, and I had to write a fresh one to be a teacher or a lecturer. And so the first thing that went in there was my experience as a teacher and lecturer, and then the number of books I had written, whatever, then the number of publications I had done, because those ones were more relevant to the job I was applying for than the number of publications I had, made in newspapers as regards maybe column writing, maybe news reporting or whatever. Now, I now eventually added my experience in the media, because where I wanted to work was a media institution. So that could only be an added advantage. But that shouldn't be the first. What I am saying in essence now is that, wherever you want to work should determine the kind of CV you write. You foreground what is most important, and then you background what is less important. Now, two things are important in your CV, very important. Number one is where you worked before, in case you worked somewhere. Now, and number two is about the people you have chosen as your referees. Now, if you want to refer to where you worked before, you must refer specifically to what you did there, because where you worked is not as important as what you did where you worked. It's possible for you to have worked in the Guardian, but not essentially as a journalist. There are many places where you could work there. You could work in the clinic. It's possible. You could be in circulation. You could be in production. You could be in sales. So you could be anywhere. So what you did where you worked is important, because it is what you did that is important to the people that you want to work with. It is what you did there that is relevant to them, not generally where you worked. Okay, because there are many departments where you worked, but what you did where you worked is important, so you know that. Number two is that on many occasions you are asked to provide 3 referees. Now, when you are providing the 3 referees, I want to sincerely admonish you to ensure that each of the referees represents a segment of your life. Let one vouch for you academically, let one vouch for you morally, and then the third one should be able to vouch for you professionally. So which means that when you are now giving their names, you should add their titles, you should add what they are doing. I mean, their their designation. It is important that you add them. This one is a photographer, maybe that's for professional. This one is a chief lecturer or a senior lecturer. This one is a cleric of church or mosque. When people that will read your application see that, they will know that at least all the major areas of your life have been captured by the referees that you have given their names to them to see. Now, it is as simple as that. Getting a job is not that difficult. We agreed that there are not many jobs again in the country now, but there are still a few, even the few. Do we have qualified people that can handle those jobs? Let me add this one as a point of finality. Any job you want to take now, and you are not ICT savvy, you are not ready for the job, because this is the period, this is the time. You must be computer literate. You must be able to handle anything digitally. If you don't know it, go and learn it now, because every question that will be asked you will start from there. And then when you are writing your CV, I want to also implore you, don't tell a lie. What you can't do, don't say you can do, because you are going to be tested on what you claim that you can do. That's just it. And I wish you all the best. Once again, viewers, I thank you for listening to me. And then I want to encourage you to subscribe to this channel. You can share the video. You can ring the notification bell. You can also make your comments known. And then we take everything from there. Until we see next time, I say bye for now.